Essay 3. The Case for Xanthippe. By Robert Graves. Summary. The author acknowledges relying on intuition for writing poetry and life's management, but doesn't discard reason. Poets must be reasonable, and poems, while born of intuition, should make sense. The distinction between reasonable and rational is discussed, the former having human warmth and the latter coldness. Reason is praised for isolating facts from hearsay and creating cause-effect systems. However, it has limits: original art, humor, and religious feeling eluded. Reason was reasonable in ancient times, even in geometry's practical origins. Greek philosophers extended it to abstraction and metaphysics, ranking it above practical reason, leading to a religious crisis as gods were replaced by abstractions. Oath's sanctity declined, affecting neighboring lands. The author alludes to Jesus' warning against the Greek Jewish Egyptian followers of Philo, who interpreted Jehovah's law. In the flux of reason, the balance between practicality and abstraction, religion and gods, wavered, impacting society's values and beliefs. The relationship between philosophy and poetry, asserting that philosophy contradicts poetry's emphasis on individual uniqueness. Poets rely on personal rhythm and mistrust philosophy's tendency to reduce individuals to numbers in governmental schemes. The text highlights how reason is misused in politics and how philosophers prioritize abstraction over practicality. Women and poets were natural allies in ancient Greece, opposing philosophers' abstract reasoning that threatened societal balance. Socrates is discussed, contrasting his metaphysical theories with Xanthippe's intuitive apprehension of their negative consequences on the family and society. The shift from personal religion to organized Christianity is explored, with Roman bishops controlling education and arts. The Church struggled to reconcile faith with reason, training missionaries and apologists in rhetoric. This led to a disregard for practical problems and a decline in Roman society. The evolving relationship between the Church, science, and poetry. The Church's monopoly on mental exercises weakened with the Crusaders' contact with the Orient, and the revival of vernacular poetry after the Reformation. Galileo's persecution for endorsing heliocentrism exemplified the Church's control and censorship. Coexistence rather than integration emerged between science and theology, allowing scientific pursuit while maintaining belief in miracles. Abstract reason now denies poetry's significance, and the text argues that reason, once a servant of practicality, has become its master. The essay questions the ethical responsibility of scientists in experimenting with knowledge, exemplified by Nazi surgeons and nuclear warfare. Despite this, neither female intuition nor poetic intuition holds much weight in the modern world, as reason and science dominate societal discourse. The careful use of the term intuition and its distinction from instinct. Intuition operates beyond habitual actions, involving the mind's trance-like engagement with problems lacking rational solutions. While male intellectuals often disregard it as irrational and feminine, intuition preserved in men can lead to genius. True genius in poetry or science relies on profound intuitive thinking, drawing from a vast store of experience to make mental leaps across ignorance. A genuine poem's nucleus is a single phrase offering insight into its eventual form. Scientists usually ratiocinate but rely on intuition for groundbreaking discoveries. Without intuitive geniuses, science would lag. Kekule and Hamilton made visionary discoveries, later rationalized into scientific systems. However, their focus on abstraction over human problems led to industries benefiting from their findings but making life more rational than reasonable. Rational schooling discourages intuitive thought, fostering mass conformity. This system, while economically advantageous, overlooks the crime and maladjustment resulting from it. Technologists address this by offering tranquilizers, prisons, mental hospitals, and social workers, revealing the complexities of societal rationalization. The conflict between rationalization and human instinct, causing maladjustment in urban life. City living involves artifice, distancing people from natural appetites. As urbanization expands, rural areas are industrialized, causing conflicts. Though rural life isn't necessarily happier, humane and creative thought dependent on intuition suffers under urban reason's abstract rule. Medicine, art, literature, and entertainment are rationalized, while intuition diminishes in creative fields. Technology matured, but emotional maturity lags, impacting progress. Politicians and institutions suppress personal liberty and intuition. Few poets remain, resisting mechanistic philosophy and upholding imaginative freedom. The author suffers a poetic obsession, valuing a reasonable, humorous way of being genuine. They safeguard poetic institutions from mechanized, inhumane rationality, reflecting the tension between intuition and rationalization. A. Multiple choice questions. 1. Xanthippe was Socrates. A. Daughter. B. Wife. C. Sister. D. Mother. 2. Pythagoras was ancient Greek. A. Philosopher. B. Dramatist. C. Mathematician. D. Musician. 3. In ancient Greek society, philosophy was A. Male prerogative. B. Common to men and women. C. Popular among women. D. Unpopular among men. 4. Julius Caesar was from ancient A. Egypt. B. Greece. C. Rome. D. Persia. 5. Education was Christianized in Rome in the century BCE. A. 4th. B. 5th. C. 6th. D. 7th. 6. Galileo was imprisoned for saying A. The sun goes round the sun. B. The earth is stationary. C. The earth goes round the sun. D. Both sun and earth go round and round. Extra MCQs. 1. According to the author, what is the relationship between intuition and reason in poetry and life management? A. Intuition should be completely relied upon, discarding reason. B. Intuition and reason should always be balanced in equal measure. C. Intuition is important, but reason must be used to check it when possible. D. Intuition is irrelevant in poetry and life management. 2. What is the distinction made between reasonable and rational? A. Reasonable is cold and inhuman, while rational has warm connotations. B. Reasonable has a practical aspect, while rational focuses on abstract thinking. C. Reasonable is an adjective for art, while rational is an adjective for science. D. Reasonable is applicable to humans, while rational is applicable to machines. 3. How does the author view the role of reason in isolating facts? A. Reason often fails to isolate facts accurately. B. Reason is invaluable in creating cause-effect systems. C. Reason is unimportant in dealing with facts. D. Reason has no role in isolating facts. 4. What is the impact of Greek philosophers extending reason to abstraction and metaphysics? A. It led to a religious revival and a return to ancient beliefs. B. It resulted in a decline in political power for philosophers. C. It caused a conflict between reason and intuition in society. D. It introduced practicality to philosophy and enhanced its relevance. 5. What is the author's stance on the Church's control over mental exercises? A. The Church's control over mental exercises should be further strengthened. B. The Church's control over mental exercises has weakened over time. C. The Church's control over mental exercises has remained consistent. D. The Church's control over mental exercises should be handed over to scientists. 6. Why did Galileo face persecution by the Church? A. For endorsing abstract reasoning over practicality. B. For introducing non-religious beliefs in society. C. For endorsing heliocentrism, challenging the Church's view of the universe. D. For promoting poetry and creative thought in opposition to the Church's doctrine. 7. What is the relationship between scientists and intuition, according to the text? A. Scientists primarily rely on intuition for their work. B. Intuition is irrelevant to scientific discoveries. C. Intuition leads scientists to irrational conclusions. D. Intuition plays a crucial role in groundbreaking discoveries. 8. How does the text describe the role of intuition in creative fields? A. Intuition is important for creating original artworks. B. Intuition hinders creativity and should be avoided. C. Intuition supports practical thinking in creative fields. D. Intuition helps artists produce abstract art more effectively. 9. What does the author suggest about the relationship between reason and emotion in the modern world? A. Emotion is irrelevant in the modern world dominated by reason. B. Reason and emotion coexist harmoniously in the modern world. C. Emotion and reason often conflict, leading to societal issues. D. Reason and emotion are independent of each other in the modern world. 10. What impact does rational schooling have on intuitive thought, according to the text? A. Rational schooling encourages and nurtures intuitive thought. B. Rational schooling discourages intuitive thought and fosters conformity. C. Rational schooling has no impact on intuitive thought. D. Rational schooling promotes intuitive thought above rational thinking. 11. How does the author view the role of technology in societal progress? A. Technology has led to emotional maturity matching its technological advancements. B. Technology has outpaced emotional maturity, leading to issues in society. C. Technology and emotional maturity are unrelated concepts. D. Technology has hindered emotional maturity but improved societal progress. 12. What is the author's perspective on the balance between reason and intuition in societal discourse? A. Reason should always take precedence over intuition. B. Intuition should always be prioritized over reason. C. A balance should be maintained between reason and intuition. D. Intuition is irrelevant in societal discourse dominated by reason. 13. How does the author describe the relationship between poets and mechanistic philosophy? A. Poets fully embrace mechanistic philosophy. B. Poets resist mechanistic philosophy and uphold imaginative freedom. C. Poets are indifferent to mechanistic philosophy. D. Poets believe that mechanistic philosophy enhances their work. 14. What is the author's stance on the significance of intuition and female intuition in the modern world? A. Intuition is the most valuable quality in the modern world. B. Female intuition is more valuable than male intuition. C. Intuition holds little importance in the modern world. D. Female intuition is more relevant than ever in the modern world. 15. How does the author view the societal impact of mechanistic philosophy? A. Mechanistic philosophy has improved societal values and beliefs. B. Mechanistic philosophy has negatively impacted societal values and beliefs. C. Mechanistic philosophy has no impact on societal values and beliefs. D. Mechanistic philosophy has led. B. Short questions. 1. How does the essayist describe intuition, reason, and rationality? In the essay, the concepts of intuition, reason, and rationality are intricately explored, each carrying distinct nuances that shape their role in human thought and creativity. Intuition is depicted as a natural faculty that plays a vital role in both writing poetry and navigating life. While it is acknowledged that intuition guides the creation of poems and life choices, the essayist cautions against discarding reason entirely. Instead, the essayist advocates for a symbiotic relationship between intuition and reason, suggesting that poets, who rely on intuition, should still embrace reason to ensure coherence and meaning in their creations. Reason is highlighted as a powerful tool that extracts hard facts from the sea of uncertainty. It is praised for its ability to construct cause and effect systems and to bring order to various domains of knowledge. However, its limitations become evident when applied to original art, humor, and religious experiences, where it falls short of capturing the essence of these intangible aspects. This limitation is portrayed as a contrast to the intuitive realm, where creativity often flourishes without the constraints of rational analysis. Rationality is presented as an abstract, intellectual process that often takes precedence in the modern world. It is distinguished from being reasonable, which has warmer and more human connotations. The essayist argues that the dominance of rationality has led to the suppression of individual uniqueness, and a mechanistic approach to various aspects of life. This conflict between the rational and intuitive is depicted as a struggle that defines the modern societal landscape, raising questions about the price paid for the prioritization of rationality over the deeper, intuitive aspects of human existence. 2. What, according to the essayist, are the advantages and disadvantages of reason? According to the essayist, reason possesses both advantages and disadvantages in its application. One of the primary advantages of reason is its ability to isolate hard facts from a sea of uncertainties and subjective interpretations. It constructs orderly cause and effect systems, bringing clarity and organization to complex information. Reason is seen as a tool that serves practical purposes, allowing for logical problem-solving and informed decision-making. It acts as a foundational pillar of knowledge and understanding in various domains. However, the essayist also points out the limitations and disadvantages of reason. While it excels in dealing with practical tasks and constructing systems, reason often falls short when faced with matters of creativity, originality, and subjective experiences. The essayist highlights that rationality struggles to capture the essence of art, humor, and religious feelings. The pursuit of reason may lead to oversimplification and reductionism, missing the nuances and richness of human experiences. Moreover, the dominance of reason can lead to a mechanistic view of the world, suppressing individual uniqueness and personal expression. In essence, the essayist portrays reason as a valuable tool for managing concrete information and facilitating pragmatic solutions. However, it comes with the drawback of being inadequate in capturing the intricate and intangible aspects of human existence, potentially sacrificing the depth of individual experience and creativity in favor of a more rationalized, standardized approach. 3. In which field does the author say reason cannot work and how? The author discusses how reason faces limitations, particularly in the realm of art and creativity. While reason can excel in constructing orderly cause and effect systems and analyzing facts, it struggles to capture the essence of originality and artistic expression. The author suggests that reason's rigidity and focus on logic can stifle the intuitive and imaginative aspects of art, leading to an oversimplified and mechanistic understanding of creative endeavors. The author highlights that reason cannot effectively capture the process of creating original poems, paintings, or music. The act of artistic creation often relies on an intuitive level of thinking, drawing from a deep well of experiences and emotions. This intuitive approach is not easily dissected by reason, as it operates in a more subconscious and fluid manner. Reason's attempt to rationalize artistic processes can lead to a loss of authenticity and emotional depth in the final creative output. Furthermore, the author points out that reason fails to understand humor and religious feelings. These aspects of human experience are nuanced and subjective, often defying rational analysis. Humor, for example, relies on unexpected associations and connections that are difficult to dissect through a purely rational lens. Similarly, religious or spiritual experiences involve personal connections and emotions that transcend mere rational explanations. In these areas, reason's tendency to compartmentalize and categorize falls short, as it struggles to capture the intricacies of human emotions and creativity. 4. How does the essayist bring philosophy and reason together? The essayist brings philosophy and reason together by examining their interconnectedness and contrasting their roles. While acknowledging the value of reason in constructing systematic explanations and analyzing facts, the essayist highlights how philosophy often takes reason to new heights, exploring abstract concepts and metaphysical ideas. The essayist suggests that philosophy is a natural progression from the practical applications of reason, as philosophers extend their inquiries into the realm of abstraction. However, the essayist also points out that the pursuit of philosophy can sometimes overshadow practical reason. Philosophers are shown to prioritize abstract reasoning over more immediate, practical concerns, leading to a disregard for the practical problems of daily life. This dichotomy between abstract philosophy and practical reason creates a tension that impacts societal values and beliefs. The essayist thus brings philosophy and reason together by highlighting their coexistence but also their potential for conflict and imbalance. Overall, the essayist's portrayal of philosophy and reason underscores the complex relationship between the two. While reason serves as the foundation for systematic analysis, philosophy takes reason to higher realms of abstract thought. However, the essayist cautions against an overemphasis on abstraction at the cost of practicality, illustrating how the interplay between philosophy and reason can shape both intellectual discourse and societal dynamics. 5. What was the thesis of contention between ancient Grecians and Christians? The essay suggests that one of the key points of contention between ancient Grecians and Christians was the approach to abstract reasoning, and its impact on religious beliefs. Greek philosophers delved into the realm of abstraction and metaphysics, challenging traditional religious mythologies by attempting to replace gods and goddesses with rational abstractions. This departure from anthropomorphic deities caused a crisis of faith in the Greek society, leading to a decline in the sanctity of odes, treatises, and moral values. In contrast, Christianity emerged as a distinct religious movement, rooted in faith and divine revelation. The Christian belief system clung to established religious doctrines, while philosophers and their abstract reasoning posed a challenge to these dogmas. The clash between these two worldviews, one emphasizing faith and the other reason, shaped the religious landscape of the time. This contention reflected broader debates about the role of reason in shaping spiritual beliefs and societal norms, highlighting the tension between philosophical abstraction and religious traditionalism in the ancient world. 6. How does the essayist bring distinction between the poet and philosopher, and poetry and politics? The essayist underscores the distinction between poets and philosophers by highlighting their differing approaches to individual uniqueness and abstraction. Poets, according to the essay, rely on intuition and personal rhythm to create works that reflect the human experience in a unique and imaginative way. They emphasize the importance of emotion, individuality, and creative freedom, positioning themselves in opposition to the cold abstraction of philosophical reasoning. This distinction is further underscored in the essay's comparison between poetry and politics. The author suggests that while poets champion imaginative freedom and intuitive thought, politics demands a purely rational approach to life. Politics, driven by the need for practical solutions and societal governance, often rejects the humane intuitions that poets hold dear. This contrast illuminates how poets and their intuitive creativity stand in stark contrast to the calculated reasoning of politicians who prioritize efficiency and control. In essence, the essayist presents poets as advocates for individuality and imaginative exploration, positioning them against the more systematic and rationalistic worldviews of philosophers and politicians. This distinction serves to emphasize the unique role that poetry plays in expressing the human experience, and the challenges it faces when confronted with rational and pragmatic perspectives, both in philosophy and politics. 7. Why does the essayist identify the poet with women? The essayist's identification of poets with women appears to be rooted in the association of intuitive thinking and emotional depth. Throughout the essay, the author places a strong emphasis on intuition as a vital component of poetic creation, contrasting it with the cold, analytical nature of rationality. This intuitive approach is often linked to qualities traditionally associated with the feminine, such as emotional sensitivity, imagination, and a certain fluidity of thought that transcends strict logical frameworks. By drawing this parallel, the essayist aims to highlight the contrast between the intuitive, emotional, and imaginative nature of poets and the more rational and analytical tendencies often associated with male-dominated fields. This distinction underscores the author's argument that intuitive thinking, akin to women's presumed attributes, is essential for poetic creativity, and that both poetry and feminine intuition share a similar affinity for embracing the nuances of human experience. In a broader sense, this parallel also serves to challenge the traditional hierarchies that have placed rationality above intuition and men above women. By identifying poets with women and attributing value to their intuitive approach, the essayist subtly critiques the dominant rationalistic paradigm while elevating the importance of intuition in both creative and intellectual endeavors. 8. According to the author, what does an average rational man think of the women? According to the author, an average rational man tends to dismiss the intuitive thinking associated with women as irrational or less significant. The essayist suggests that rational individuals often undervalue the intuitive insights that women possess, possibly due to a bias favoring logical and analytical thought processes. The essayist implies that this dismissal of intuitive thinking is a consequence of a patriarchal society that has historically favored rationality over emotion and intuition, deeming the latter as inferior or unreliable. The author's argument is rooted in the broader context of the essay, which contrasts the qualities of reason and intuition. While reason is praised for its ability to create systems of cause and effect, intuition is celebrated as the wellspring of creative thinking and emotional depth. By portraying intuition as a trait commonly associated with women, the author indirectly critiques the tendency of rational thinkers to disregard the value of intuitive insights, further emphasizing the essay's exploration of the tension between reason and intuition in various aspects of life. 9. Do you think there was paradigm shift in the development of education in 4th century Europe? Explain. Yes, there was a significant paradigm shift in the development of education in 4th century Europe. The shift can be attributed to the growing influence of Christianity and its impact on the educational system. In the 4th century, Christianity had gained prominence and was eventually recognized as the official religion of the Roman Empire. This change in religious landscape brought about a transformation in the way education was perceived and delivered. The shift in 4th century European education was influenced by Christianity, replacing classical subjects with theology and religious studies. The Church established monastic schools, emphasizing faith over secular knowledge. This transition changed education's purpose from creating well-rounded citizens to nurturing individuals for church contributions, marking the start of the medieval education system. The 4th century witnessed a paradigm shift in European education as Christianity gained prominence, leading to a transition from the classical education model to one that was centered around religious teachings and theology. This shift not only altered the subjects taught but also changed the overall purpose and structure of education in Europe during that time. 10. How did Christianity fortify itself? Christianity fortified itself through various means during its early years. One crucial aspect was the establishment of a strong religious and doctrinal foundation. The church leaders worked to define core beliefs, dogmas, and creeds, creating a unified framework for Christian faith. This not only provided a cohesive theological structure, but also facilitated the identification and rejection of heretical ideas. The Church's organized hierarchy, consisting of bishops, priests, and deacons, facilitated the uniform spread of beliefs. Political alliances provided protection from persecution and supported the faith's expansion. Monastic schools and education bolstered the Church's authority and knowledge preservation, contributing to its influence and intellectual dominance. Overall, Christianity fortified itself through theological clarity, organized governance, political alliances, and educational initiatives, all of which contributed to its survival, growth, and establishment as a major religious and cultural force. 11. What were the consequences of the fall of Roman Empire? The fall of the Roman Empire had profound and far-reaching consequences across various domains. Politically, the collapse led to the fragmentation of Western Europe into numerous smaller kingdoms and territories, marking the end of centralized imperial governance. Economically, trade networks disintegrated, cities declined, and economic stability deteriorated as the empire's vast infrastructure crumbled. Socially, the loss of Roman institutions led to a decline in urban life, with the rise of feudalism and a shift towards agrarian economies. Culturally, the fall of Rome marked a transition from classical antiquity to the early Middle Ages, with a decline in literature, arts, and scientific advancements. Religious dynamics changed, as Christianity, once persecuted, became the official religion under Constantine, influencing the shaping of medieval Europe's spiritual and social landscape. The fall of the Western Roman Empire also paved the way for migrations, invasions, and the rise of new powers, such as the Germanic tribes and the Byzantine Empire, shaping the geopolitical map of Europe for centuries to come. 12. How did Church lose its grip after Reformation? The Church's grip began to weaken after the Reformation, a 16th-century religious movement challenging Roman Catholic doctrines and practices. The rise of Protestantism led to the fragmentation of Christianity, with various reformers advocating for individual interpretation of scriptures and rejection of papal authority. This decentralization undermined the Church's unified control over religious thought. The printing press played a crucial role in disseminating reformist ideas, allowing pamphlets and Bibles to be widely distributed in local languages, enabling broader access to religious knowledge and fostering critical thinking. Political factors also played a role, as monarchs and rulers sought to gain power by aligning with or breaking from the Church's influence, often using religious differences as a means of political control. Furthermore, the Enlightenment era introduced secular and scientific ideas that challenged traditional religious narratives, eroding the Church's dominance over intellectual discourse. The Church's suppression of scientific advancements, exemplified by the Galileo incident, led to growing skepticism of its authority. These factors collectively contributed to the gradual loss of the Church's once unquestionable influence, paving the way for the rise of secularism and the separation of church and state in many societies. 13. What does the writer think of modern civilization? The writer's perspective on modern civilization is mixed. While acknowledging the benefits of technological progress and advancements, the writer also highlights significant concerns about the direction in which modern civilization is moving. The text emphasizes the dominance of reason, rationality, and mechanistic philosophy in shaping modern societies. This domination of abstract, impersonal reasoning over intuitive, humane thinking is portrayed as detrimental to the well-being of individuals and society. The essayist critiques the excessive rationalization of various aspects of life, from education to art, politics, and even entertainment. The author suggests that the emphasis on rationality has led to the suppression of personal freedom, creative expression, and individuality. This, in turn, has resulted in societal maladjustment, emotional immaturity, and a lack of genuine human connection. The text implies that modern civilization's preoccupation with reason and material progress has come at the cost of intangible aspects of life, such as imagination, intuition, and spiritual depth. Overall, the writer's view of modern civilization is characterized by a deep concern for the erosion of values that foster a holistic and humane existence. While recognizing the achievements of technology and knowledge, the author raises a cautionary flag against the excessive dominance of rationality, urging a re-evaluation of the balance between reason and intuition to ensure a more meaningful and fulfilling human experience. 14. What does the essayist feel about urban and rustic way of life? The essayist's perspective on urban and rustic ways of life is nuanced. The text portrays urban living as a product of artifice, where individuals are distanced from their natural appetites and compelled to conform to a rationalized, mass-demand society. While the advantages of urbanization are acknowledged, such as economic benefits and the support of vast populations, the essayist highlights the downsides of this lifestyle. Urban living is criticized for its emphasis on conformity, mechanization, and the suppression of intuitive thought. On the other hand, the text does not idealize rustic life as inherently happier. The essayist suggests that rural inhabitants may not necessarily be happier than urban dwellers, but rural life represents a different set of challenges and benefits. The essayist contrasts the two ways of life by discussing the impact of urbanization on small towns, the industrialization of agricultural areas, and the resulting conflicts between the two. While urban life may offer economic advantages, the essayist implies that it can be at the expense of humane, creative thought that depends on intuition and a more natural way of living. The essayist's perspective on urban and rustic ways of life is critical of the excessive rationalization and conformity of urban living. While acknowledging the economic benefits of urbanization, the essayist highlights the toll it takes on intuitive thinking and genuine human experiences. Rustic life is not presented as an ideal alternative, but rather as a different context with its own challenges and opportunities for a more balanced and humane existence. 15. How does the essayist define poetry? The essayist defines poetry as more than just a collection of poems, it's a unique attitude towards life. Poetry encompasses a distinct way of approaching the world and engaging with it. It is described as a practical, humorous, and reasonable way of being oneself. Unlike the conventional notion of poems as mere artistic compositions, the essayist emphasizes that poetry involves a particular mindset that goes beyond conforming to societal norms. This definition suggests that poetry is not confined to the realm of artistic expression but extends to how one navigates life, relationships, and experiences. It is associated with resisting conformity, embracing authenticity, and valuing qualities that go beyond rationality. By presenting poetry as an attitude, the essayist emphasizes its relevance in shaping an individual's perspective on the world and their interactions with it. This definition underscores the essayist's view that poetry is more than a literary form, it's a way of living that resists mechanized, inhumane rationality and safeguards the essence of human experience. C. Long questions. 1. The essay is Robert Graves' reaction against Western worldview. Explain. The essay by Robert Graves presents a strong reaction against the Western worldview, challenging its emphasis on reason, rationality, and mechanized thinking. Graves critiques the prevailing notion of valuing reason above all else and advocates for a more intuitive and poetic approach to life. In the essay, Graves expresses his reliance on intuition for writing poetry and managing life. He opposes the cult of intuition, which seeks to replace reason entirely, asserting that reason and intuition should complement each other. This rejection of an extreme focus on reason reflects Graves' dissatisfaction with the dominant Western worldview that often dismisses or undermines the significance of intuition and emotional insight. Graves further emphasizes the importance of intuition by highlighting the limitations of reason. While reason can isolate hard facts and create logical systems, it fails to capture the essence of original art, humor, and religious feeling. This argument challenges the Western worldview's elevation of reason as the ultimate tool for understanding and interpreting the world. The author's contrast between reason and intuition aligns with his broader critique of the Western worldview's mechanistic and abstract tendencies. He points out that reason has become a master, denying the significance of poetry and reducing human experiences to cold abstractions. Graves contends that this shift has led to societal maladjustment and a lack of emotional maturity, contrasting with the innate value of intuitive and poetic thinking. Moreover, the essayist opposes the Western worldview's influence on education, urbanization, and even the Church's control. He criticizes the mechanization of education, the suppression of personal liberty, and the dominance of reason in religious and social spheres. By advocating for intuition, creativity, and poetic sensibilities, Graves presents a counter-narrative against the Western worldview's pervasive influence. At the end, Robert Graves' essay is a strong reaction against the Western worldview's overemphasis on reason, rationality, and mechanization. He advocates for a more balanced approach that values intuition, creativity, and poetic thinking. Graves challenges the dominant narrative by highlighting the limitations of reason, critiquing its impact on education and society, and ultimately promoting a more humane and emotionally authentic way of engaging with the world. 2. The author talks about commodification of art, literature, sports, etc. Is it good or bad for the society? Give your reasons. The commodification of art, literature, sports, and other cultural domains has both positive and negative impacts on society, resulting from the complex interplay between commercialization and artistic expression. On the positive side, commodification can lead to increased accessibility and exposure. When art, literature, and sports become commodities, they often receive financial support and exposure that might not have been possible otherwise. This can lead to greater reach and engagement with wider audiences, potentially fostering appreciation and participation. For instance, commercializing sports can provide resources for infrastructure, training, and development of athletes, promoting healthy competition and talent growth. Moreover, commodification can create economic opportunities. Artists, writers, athletes, and other creatives can earn a livelihood from their work, contributing to the economy and supporting their own artistic pursuits. This economic incentive can encourage innovation and drive the production of high-quality content or performances. However, the negative consequences of commodification are significant. It often leads to the prioritization of profit over artistic integrity and originality. When art and literature become commodities, there's a risk of diluting their authenticity to cater to popular demand. This can result in a homogenized cultural landscape that lacks diversity and depth. Additionally, commodification can lead to the exploitation of creators. The pressure to produce commercially successful content might lead to burnout, compromising the mental and emotional well-being of artists and athletes. Furthermore, the focus on profitability might exclude marginalized voices and underrepresented communities whose work doesn't align with mainstream trends. Commodification also threatens the intrinsic value of art and culture. When these domains are driven solely by profit, their transformative power and ability to challenge societal norms and conventions can be diminished. The commercialization of art and literature, for example, can prioritize entertainment value over thought-provoking narratives that challenge the status quo. The commodification of art, literature, sports, and cultural domains has both positive and negative implications for society. While it can increase accessibility and economic opportunities, it also poses risks to artistic authenticity, diversity, and intrinsic value. Balancing commercial interests with the preservation of artistic integrity is crucial to ensure that commodification does not erode the transformative potential of these creative expressions. 3. How, according to the essayist, are reason, intuition, and instinct different from each other? In the essay, the author distinguishes between reason, intuition, and instinct, highlighting their unique characteristics and roles in human thought and behavior. Reason is depicted as a cognitive faculty that involves logical and systematic thinking. It is the capacity to analyze, deduce, and form conclusions based on evidence, data, and established principles. The author recognizes the value of reason in various contexts, such as isolating facts from hearsay and constructing cause-effect relationships. However, the essayist also acknowledges the limitations of reason, particularly in the realms of original art, humor, and religious experience. Reason is seen as a tool for practical problem-solving but is contrasted with intuitive thinking, which is described as operating beyond the confines of habitual actions. Intuition is presented as a form of insight that transcends habitual behavior and rational deduction. It is described as a trance-like state of the mind engaged with problems that lack clear rational solutions. The author asserts that intuition does not concern itself with routine tasks, but rather delves into complex matters that require a leap across gaps of knowledge. Intuition is associated with creative genius and is characterized as drawing upon a deep reservoir of diverse experiences stored in the subconscious. The essayist emphasizes that intuition is distinct from instinct and reason, operating in a unique realm of thought and problem-solving. Instinct, on the other hand, is compared to intuition but is positioned as a more immediate and habitual response to stimuli. Instinct is described as the impulse that prompts actions without the need for conscious reasoning. The author offers examples of instinctual reactions, such as retreating from a wriggling creature or dipping a burned finger in cold water. Instinct is portrayed as a natural faculty shared by both sexes, and contrasts with the higher-order cognitive processes of reason and intuition. The essayist differentiates reason, intuition, and instinct based on their cognitive processes and functions. Reason is characterized by logical thinking and systematic analysis, intuition involves insight beyond habitual actions, and instinct refers to immediate and automatic responses. Each of these faculties plays a distinct role in human thought and behavior, and the essayist highlights their individual strengths and limitations in various contexts. 4. What are the author's views on Christianity? The essay provides a nuanced perspective on Christianity, examining its historical impact and complex relationship with reason, intuition, and societal values. While the author doesn't overtly express personal beliefs, certain themes and critiques can be inferred. The author acknowledges Christianity's influence on the development of education and society. The rise of Christianity led to a shift in educational focus, with the Church playing a central role in shaping curricula and establishing schools. The Church's emphasis on religious studies and theology transformed the purpose of education from producing well-rounded citizens to nurturing individuals for religious service. This shift is presented as a significant departure from the classical model of education. However, the author also raises concerns about the Church's influence on rationalization and dogma. The Church's increasing control over education and the dissemination of knowledge led to a suppression of individual thought and creativity. The author critiques the Church's role in stifling intuitive thinking and promoting dogmatic adherence to religious doctrine. This tension between reason and intuition is illustrated by the persecution of Galileo for endorsing heliocentrism, highlighting the conflict between scientific inquiry and religious orthodoxy. Additionally, the essay hints at the loss of individual freedoms and liberties due to the Church's dominance. The author notes that the Church's hierarchy and connections with political authorities helped solidify its authority and protect its faith from persecution. However, this consolidation of power also contributed to the suppression of personal liberty and the imposition of religious norms. The emphasis on rationalization within the Church is portrayed as limiting the diversity of thought and stifling intuitive perspectives. The author's views on Christianity in the essay are complex. While recognizing its historical impact and role in education, the author also raises concerns about the Church's influence on reason, intuition, and individual freedoms. The essay seems to question the balance between religious orthodoxy and intellectual freedom, suggesting that the dominance of one may come at the expense of the other. 5. How does the author criticize the misuse of abstract reason in the history of the Western world? The author's criticism of the misuse of abstract reason in the history of the Western world is central to the essay's narrative. Throughout the text, the author highlights how the emphasis on abstract reason has led to negative consequences in various aspects of society. Firstly, the author criticizes how abstract reason has been prioritized over intuition and human experience. The Western tradition's shift towards abstract reasoning, particularly in fields like philosophy and metaphysics, is portrayed as problematic. This shift detached humans from their natural inclinations and myths, replacing them with cold abstractions that alienated people from their personal experiences and emotions. This, the author suggests, ultimately led to a decline in societal values and a detachment from the spiritual and intuitive aspects of life. The author also critiques the impact of abstract reason on education. While praising the practical application of reason in establishing orderly systems, the author points out that reason has limitations, particularly in nurturing creativity, humor, and religious sentiment. The rationalization of education and the emergence of church-controlled institutions further narrowed the scope of learning, suppressing individual thought and imaginative freedom. The author criticizes this trend for reducing the potential for a well-rounded education that balances reason with intuition. Furthermore, the author presents historical examples of the misuse of reason, particularly in religious conflicts. The condemnation of Galileo for promoting heliocentrism is cited as an instance where abstract reason was used to suppress scientific inquiry that challenged religious dogma. This highlights how rigid adherence to reason without considering empirical evidence or intuitive insights can lead to intellectual repression. The author's critique extends to the socio-political realm, where abstract reason has been employed to justify violence and domination. The essay mentions the Crusaders' interactions with the Orient, which led to new knowledge but also imperialistic aggression. The author implies that the misuse of reason in the pursuit of dominance and control has contributed to societal upheavals and conflicts. The author's critique of the misuse of abstract reason in the history of the Western world underscores its negative impact on various aspects of society. From education to religion to politics, the emphasis on reason without a balanced consideration of intuition and human experience is portrayed as leading to the degradation of values, suppression of creativity, and even violence. This critique serves as a call for a more holistic and nuanced approach to reasoning that appreciates the intuitive and emotional dimensions of human existence. 6. Does the author really sympathize with women? Give reasons. The author's sympathies towards women are evident throughout the essay, and various instances illustrate their empathy towards the challenges and perspectives faced by women in a society dominated by abstract reason and male-centric ideologies. Firstly, the author draws a parallel between poets and women, portraying them as allies against the dominance of abstract reasoning. The author describes how both poets and women rely on intuition, emotion, and personal rhythm, characteristics that are often dismissed or suppressed in a world where abstract reason holds sway. This association highlights the author's recognition of women's affinity towards intuition and emotional understanding, which they share with poets. The author also critiques the dismissive attitude of male intellectuals towards women's intuition. By suggesting that male intellectuals tend to disregard intuition as irrational and feminine, the author indirectly conveys the unfair treatment of women's unique perspectives. This critique implies that the male-dominated society's rejection of intuition has disadvantaged women, as it has undermined their contribution to knowledge and understanding. Additionally, the author sympathizes with women through the portrayal of Xanthippe, Socrates' wife. Xanthippe's intuitive apprehension of the negative consequences of Socrates' metaphysical theories is portrayed as valid and insightful. Her concerns about the impact of these theories on the family and society are depicted as reasonable and grounded, compared to Socrates' abstract reasoning. This portrayal lends credence to women's intuitive insights and positions them as sensible and practical. Moreover, the author's criticism of the Church's hierarchy and rationalization implies that women's perspectives and experiences were often marginalized within religious institutions. The author's acknowledgement of the Church's disregard for practical and humane issues suggests an insensitivity towards women's concerns, an intuitive understanding of human relationships and values. The author's sympathies towards women are evident through the parallel drawn between poets and women, the critique of male intellectuals' attitude towards intuition, the portrayal of Xanthippe's concerns, and the critique of the Church's hierarchy. These elements collectively indicate that the author recognizes and values women's intuitive insights and emotional understanding, particularly in a society dominated by abstract reason and male-centric ideologies. Best of luck.